What is up, my blue and silver faithful? Take a look at what's brewing in Detroit. Aleem McNeill is back at practice, but the defense still has some key guys out. There's been a move involving a former Packer, the power rankings have shifted big time, and there's hot trade talk that could completely change our pass rush. And hold on to your hats. The last news item is a major hit to the secondary, but before we dive into every detail of this breakdown, let me ask you for one thing. Subscribe to the channel right now. It costs you nothing, it's free, and it keeps this Lions lair strong. Hit that like button too, because YouTube will spread this talk to more Lions fans scattered all over the place. And drop a comment, because this space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes the one pride. Look, Aleem McNeill's return to practice is the kind of news that just electrifies the fan base. The guy's been out since the start, listed on the PUP, and now the 21-day window is officially open. Dan Campbell even joked that he feels sorry for the opponents who are going to have to face McNeill when he finally steps onto the field. That right there shows you the kind of weight this guy carries for our defensive line. And we all know, without pressure in the trenches, the defense suffers. But at the same time we get this good news, we've also got a headache. Kerby Joseph didn't show up at practice. And he wasn't alone. Sione Vaki, Zach Cunningham, DJ Reed, Khalil Dorsey, and even Taylor Decker were all absent. Translation: the list of no-shows is concerning, especially on defense. The good luck is that Terrion Arnold, who left the game against the Browns, is back to practice, even if he's limited. Better than nothing, right? Campbell said something that I think is important. He doesn't see this wave of injuries as anything new. Since 2021, he's been hammering home the next man up mentality. Here in Detroit, there's no crying, there's working. The man constantly repeats that every player on the roster gets real reps in practice. They aren't just running after cones, they are inside the scheme. When someone goes down, the backup has an obligation to maintain the level. It's the standard, it's the culture. And honestly, we see that on the field. Sure, you get that knot in your stomach when starters are out, but the team doesn't feel it as much as they used to. There's also the Josh Paschal situation. Fans are anxiously waiting, but Campbell was very clear. There's no timetable yet. He's progressing, but far from ready. We've seen this movie before. Better to hold back than to risk it and lose the guy for good. To be honest with you, I see this mix of hope and apprehension as a very 2025 Lions thing. McNeill's return is a massive boost, but Kerby Joseph's absence could become a huge hole against the Bengals, especially if Reed is also out. The true fan knows, the defense has carried a lot of weight in tough times. The difference now is that the coaching staff is more prepared. They're not just improvising out of nowhere. Only here do you get this Lions fan read. McNeill's return might just be the extra fuel the defense needed, but the injury list shows that the balance remains fragile. So comment below if you agree with me. Does the joy of a return outweigh the anxiety of seeing so many names out? And stick around, because the next piece of news smells like division rivalry, and I guarantee it's going to hit home with a lot of people. And now this one has that special spice. It involves the Packers. We know how it is, you can never ignore a divisional rivalry. The Lions are 3-1 on the season, and the only stumble was exactly against Green Bay. That 27-13 loss hurt, but look, it almost feels distant now. Green Bay is stumbling and Detroit is surging. In the middle of this journey, the team brought back a familiar face. Ty Summers, a linebacker who has been with both the Packers and Detroit, was re-signed, this time to the practice squad. The guy had his flashes in the preseason last year with us. 10 tackles, 2 for a loss, and even a sack. He was cut, but now he's back because the coaching staff understands they need depth at the position. It's the classic back and forth that the NFL loves, but when it involves someone who knows the locker room, it helps. And of course, it's impossible not to get a little laugh. Us taking a piece that once wore the green and gold and putting them in blue and silver. It's symbolic, it's a jab, nothing huge, but for anyone who lives Lions-Packers, every detail matters. I confess, I get a little taste of revenge. Now check out the cherry on top, the rankings. Eric Edholm from the NFL put the Lions in the top 3 of the power rankings. That's right, 3rd overall in the entire league. That's not just anything, my friends. It's written right there that even without a spectacular offense against Cleveland, Detroit showed maturity. They took care of the ball. They knew how to control the situation. Mistakes happened, 5 offensive penalties that are uncommon, but nothing that would completely derail the game. This kind of analysis shows how the team is already commanding national respect. And there's more. Jared Goff is getting major props. Jack McKessie from USA Today ranked our QB as the 3rd best in the NFL right now. This is historic, people. Think about it. When was the last time we saw a Lions quarterback ranked this high? I can't remember. Maybe never. And it's not just numbers, it's leadership. Even with an interception against the Browns, he showed composure, shared the spotlight with the running game, and maintained control. That's a quarterback for a team that dreams big. To be honest, I'm fired up about this new respect. Because it's not empty hype, it's a foundation. The defense holds up, the special teams contribute, the offense knows how to manage. Ty Summers coming back might be a small detail, but it symbolizes that the Lions are paying attention, always correcting a hole before it becomes a problem. Only here do you get this fan's take. The rivalry with the Packers is still pulsing, and every time the Lions appear above them in the rankings, the soul of Detroit smiles. Comment below if you also think it's delicious to see Green Bay trailing. And don't go anywhere, because the next news has the name of a bombshell trade that could heavily impact the pass rush. And now let's talk market chatter. Analysts are already floating a trade scenario that would make noise in Detroit. The speculation is that the Lions could send a third-round pick to the Saints in exchange for edge rusher Carl Granderson. Just talking about that gives you chills, right? Because we know how pressuring the opposing quarterback has been a perennial topic around here. Granderson is off to an absurd start to the season, 4.5 sacks in 4 games, a pace of almost 20 if he keeps it up. Of course, that number is tough to sustain, but you can't deny the guy is peaking. With a contract through 2027, he would be an immediate impact piece and a long-term one. Putting that talent on the opposite side of Hutchinson, oh my friend, that's the kind of vision that makes us dream of a suffocating defense. Now let's look at the other side. The Saints are in a never-ending rut, still without a win, and looking like a team that's going to be a seller on the market. The franchise might want to cut salary, accumulate picks, and look toward the future. In that scenario, sacrificing an impact player like Granderson might be painful, but it makes sense if a rebuild is knocking on the door. To be honest with you, I think it's absolutely worth considering. We saw last year what happens when defensive depth evaporates with injuries. Detroit managed, but they suffered too much. If you can spend a third-round pick to secure 8 to 10 sacks for the rest of the season and still have years left on the contract, I wouldn't think twice. It's the kind of move that separates those who just want to compete from those who want to fight for the top. And of course, there's the emotion. Detroit fans are tired of seeing opportunities slip away due to a lack of consistent pass rush. Anyone who remembers games where Hutchinson was overloaded knows what I'm talking about. Imagine the guy being able to split attention with Granderson? That would be next level. And yes, I know, it's just a journalist's proposal for now. But that kind of smoke often indicates there's fire. Only here do you get this fan read. Granderson would be a perfect fit. And if the Saints are really willing to part ways, Detroit needs to at least call and ask. An available edge rusher at this level doesn't pop up every day. Comment below if you would be willing to give up the third-round pick for this reinforcement. I'm honestly close to yelling, just do it, Holmes. And hang tight, because the last news of the day talks about an immediate, already signed reinforcement to try to plug a hole in the secondary. This one is heavy and directly affects the defense. And now this one is the kind of news that shows how the NFL waits for no one. With the Lions' secondary banged up, the front office acted fast and brought veteran Trey Flowers to the practice squad. It might seem like a low-key move, but for anyone following the defensive casualties, it makes perfect sense. DJ Reed is out with a thigh injury, and the prognosis is weeks on the sideline. Terrion Arnold also left the field against the Browns with a shoulder issue, and his status is still questionable for the game against the Bengals. Add to that Daniel Thomas already out for arm surgery, and you have a complicated scenario. There was no waiting around. They had to add depth to the roster, even if it was a temporary fix. Trey Flowers isn't just anyone. Drafted by the Seahawks, he had some good seasons there, even solidifying himself in 2019 with strong numbers, over 80 tackles, interceptions, passes defended. He later bounced around with the Bengals, Falcons, Jaguars, and Colts before a brief stint with the Bears. He's not a star, but he's a veteran. He's seen everything in the league and knows how to step onto the field without flinching. The guy has 95 games on his resume, with 44 as a starter. That counts, especially on a team that needs experience to hold down the fort. Campbell even said that Arnold's injury might not be that serious, but you can't bet on that with an important game coming up. Flowers could be activated this weekend. He brings that big, physical, strong-in-contact profile that fits the style coordinator Kelvin Shepard likes to use. And at the very least, he helps on special teams, which have been crucial for the Lions in 2025. To be honest with you, I see this move as pure pragmatism. No one expects Flowers to become a hero, but he provides breathing room. He provides options. If Arnold doesn't play, at least the entire load doesn't fall on the shoulders of Rock Ya-Sin and Amik Robertson. And if Arnold is fine, Flowers still has room to contribute in specific packages. The important thing is not to leave the defense too vulnerable against quarterbacks who know how to exploit holes. Only here do you get this fan read. The Lions are not letting the season slip away due to a lack of planning. The reinforcement might not be flashy, but it prevents disaster. With the NFC becoming more balanced, a detail like this can decide a playoff spot down the road. Comment below if you think Flowers will really earn a spot in the rotation or if this is just emergency insurance. I confess, I feel calmer just seeing the team move fast, and don't go anywhere, because I'm about to wrap up this entire breakdown and tell you why this moment for the Lions is different from anything we've ever seen. So, look at what we've covered in this breakdown. McNeil returning and reigniting the fire on the defensive line, the Packers rivalry adding some spice with Ty Summers, huge trade smoke with Granderson that could change our pass rush, and the arrival of Flowers to hold down the secondary in the middle of a storm. All of this shows one thing. The Lions are no longer a team that reacts. They are a team that anticipates, that builds. I'll say it without fear. This is the strongest moment in decades. Comment below, because this space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes the One Pride.